Hey, this is Matt Daniels, and I am working as a resource development champion with LK10, and Susan Ramsey, who is if there's anything happening and things are flowing, she is one of the key people lining up our conferences, lining up events, and now also working with me on a stewardship team. And we are talking also with Colleen Kaskey, who is with InterVarsity, and we're going to interview her and have a few questions in a moment. But one of the things that we are doing in LK10 is there's a couple edges that we're always paying attention to, and one is the external edge of who is getting empowered in ministry, whether it's a husband and wife or a couple of best friends that are just seeking to be church at home, or whether they are leaders of denominations or congregations or networks, to really learn these simple viral rhythms of a heart-to-heart connection with each other, of a tuning into the whispers of Jesus as he leads us in our day-to-day activities, and then praying that he will send out more laborers into the harvest. And so there's that edge where, and John White's popping in as well. He froze, but he is back in the video. John, we are recording, so we're gonna keep rolling. And welcome back. So there's the growing edge, the impact edge, where we are seeing more and more people learn some simple rhythms and practices to join Jesus in what he's doing in the world. So then the other edge that we're paying attention to is anytime we start getting overwhelmed with administrative tasks, we start to think there's got to be a better, faster, quicker, sharper, more relational way to handle this stuff. And so we're always trying to be high touch. And then if we can get some tech that helps us be higher touch, then we're going to do it. So right now we have entered into a relationship with a group called Kindful, and Kindful is going to be handling our stewardship, our donor relations. And we're going to be going through a process of people have been donating through PayPal, or if they've been doing a check and they want to make the jump to doing it online, we're going to be doing that. So we want to be ever more efficient in terms of how we do this. And John White, you can't see his cramping hand in this video, but he spends a lot of time in January writing letters to people to just say, this is how much you gave, thank you for giving. And we want to continue staying in touch, but not have our time eaten up by administration. So we're paying rapt attention on the administration end so that we can spend more time out on the equipping, the empowering, the setting loose of leaders as they join with Jesus in what he's doing in the world. And I heard Colleen's story. Oh, John disappeared again. I heard Colleen's story just the other day and saw your post on LK10 about the way some of these rhythms and practices are not just getting traction in your frontline ministry with students and athletes, but also with peers that you are doing ministry with. So I would love for you to tell us a little bit about who you are, how these LK10 rhythms and practices are getting traction, and what it is that you're seeing around you.
Yeah, thanks. So I'm working with InterVarsity Christian Fellowship for 12 years. And since joining LK10 about a year and a half ago, my personal walk with Jesus and the way my husband and I interact with the Lord together has been transformed. And it's just naturally been leaking into how I do ministry. So I sit as the regional coordinator for the Mid-Atlantic, specifically with working with athletes. So I'm on our regional leadership team where we're trying to reach every corner of the campus. So I'm responsible for the athlete corner and helping us think through that. And yeah, specifically listening to Jesus and checking in. Those have just been becoming more and more part of how I want to relate to everybody around me and any teams that I'm on. So I was recently at a regional leadership team meeting, and we were talking about some really difficult things, some problems in our region that we were trying to work through. And I just had this overwhelming sense, we need to listen to Jesus on this. Like, we can only get so far talking about it. I want to hear what Jesus has to say to us as a group. So I wrote a note to the person leading the meeting, my regional director, and just said, I really think we should listen to Jesus. And so he kind of stopped us and he turned the whole meeting over to me and said, Colleen thinks we should listen to Jesus. So Colleen, would you lead us? And in the past, I would have been freaked out by like even offering up to, a suggestion in that way, but then even leading in that way. Cause I'm a younger person on the team. But just felt very confident. I know how to do this. Okay. So I trained people very quickly in listening. Then I said, we're going to listen for a couple of minutes. And then we shared in around what we heard. And we made some observations about what we heard then and tried to pull out some themes. And it just felt like the whole tone of the meeting changed and that Jesus had some really life-giving things to tell us about the situation that we were talking about. And my regional director thanked me at the end. And was just really appreciative of, just that I kind of stepped out in faith in that way.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you came back after that meeting, and so you did that activity, and I loved how you said, well, a couple things that I find curious is, yes, the tremendous risk when you say to everybody, hey, you want to try something new, and like, what if they all give me that look? Like, who are you and what do you think? And then just saying, yeah, the whole tone in the room just shifted. And people got hope. It sounds like people with some creativity, greater connectedness. And then kind of coming after that, you have continued to see that sort of spread a little bit, right?
Yeah. So something else, basically every setting that I'm leading now, I teach check-ins, whether it's with my staff or if I'm, because I have a staff team, or it's with my student leaders, when I go to campus. So I was on another call with the same regional director and a subset of our regional team. And he started off the call and he said, Colleen, I heard you do something called check-ins. Like, can you do that with us right now? And he had never even done it. I guess he had heard about it from the people I'm doing it with. So I said, oh, okay. And I, again, felt very equipped and confident that I could do that on the call. So I taught people check-in. I led the round. Someone checked in with really heavy emotions. So I offered her, how do you want us to help you right now? What do you need from us? She asked for prayer. We prayed for her. And then after the call, he texted me and said, thank you for doing that. He said, you are starting a revolution. What you're bringing to the region is really good, helping us practice listening prayer together. So it's interesting that he brought up the listening prayer thing when we were actually, what I had just led was the check-in. Wow. But he was starting to see, I think, that those things are connected. And I think the thing I just feel the most thankful for is the confidence I have in leading a group together to connect at a heart level and connect with Jesus.
Wow.
And yeah, so that's been like the biggest impact in my life through Luke 10.
That's awesome. Thanks. Parker Palmer talks about, he has this thing where he defines leadership as creating spaces where abundance can emerge. And I'm just blown away by, oftentimes that initial pressure as leaders is to be the abundance, right? I've got all these empty people around me. Let me be abundant for them. And what you're practicing is that other thing. It's just like, all right, Jesus, I really believe you can show up in everybody's hearts. So, John, did you have a thought on this?
Paula, my internet keeps going down and coming back, so that's why I'm doing weird things. But Colleen, my question was, what was it that gave you confidence to do what you did in that meeting?
Well, I think I've just started to become so much more in tune with the Spirit, the coach. Even when I wasn't overtly sitting down to do listening prayer, I just had this sense that this is what people need right now. And I'm growing in confidence, I think, in listening to that voice inside of me. So, I just, paying attention to spontaneous thoughts, I guess. And my heart started beating really fast. So I'm like, okay, Jesus, you're telling me to do this. I'm going to do it here.
Where did you learn all this stuff?
From you, John. Yes.
We went through Church 101 with you and Greg.
Yeah.
And you've been in a leader team, one of the leader teams that we do Sunday mornings. And we just practice this stuff. And it's become, second nature to you, I know. And it's really been wonderful to see that.
Yeah. Well, I'm so thankful. It's changed our lives for sure.
Beautiful.
It's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing.